Hey everyone, it's Robin, RS Island Crafts, and welcome to my studio. This is my Whip It Wednesday video where I'm going to show you the crafty goodness that I've been working on. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on the live stream over the weekend, and for those of you that caught the replay. I'm going to put a picture up here as I'm chatting of the blocks that I've been working on, and I think the way I have it figured out is I have half the blocks that I need. Kind of thought I was closer. String blocks go really quick, and I've only done it for 2 live streams, so it's not like I have a lot of time invested, but I was hoping that I would be close to being finished. I just want a quilt that I can wrap up or lay over me to snuggle up on my chair as we're getting into the winter months, or when the AC is just a little bit colder than usual. Like sometimes at night it gets a little cold, and other nights it's warm. I think it's more about me than anything else. So I have the string block, the rectangle strings going, and I have the house quilt going. So those are my 2 main quilts. Once I find all of my leftover quilt blocks, that just the random ones, the orphan blocks that I've been working on throughout the years, I want to put one of those together and put it on my bed, or just to have it for the winter time. But I need to gather up all my blocks first. I know where some of them are, and I think the rest of them are out in the garage still in a box. But a little too hot to go out in the garage and unpack. I had planned on working on the community block that's going to be going on these doors. I was going to work on it last weekend, the previous one, and then I was going to work on it this past weekend, and it just never came into action, into fruition. I was just a little bit, you have to kind of be motivated to work on certain projects, and I want to enjoy the process and not feel like it's being forced. So I will be working on that soon. I really need to start off by just piecing the batting, and then I can play with it and put the blocks up. I do want to record the process as I'm doing it so that you guys can see what's going on. I did receive 2 new blocks in the mail this past week. Look at this butterfly fabric. Isn't it just so cute? My apologies, I need to iron it. I will iron it before I put it up onto Patreon, and then you can head on over there to see how they look when they're nice and flat. Now, I didn't think this was a Tula Pink fabric, but it kind of reminded me of maybe a Tula Pink. It's not. What I did is I used Google Lens, where you can take a picture of an item. It's a special app. It's not just the Google search engine, but it's through them. So there's a Google app you can download, and then there's this little square picture taking like thing in the search bar, and you can use that to take a picture of this, and it'll show you what it is. So if you find something at a thrift store and you're not sure what it is, if you take a picture of it, you can search on Google, and it'll search the images for either that item or things that are like it. And then you can see if the price you're paying for it is worth compared to the value. And you can also see what it is, because sometimes I wonder what that is. So I went ahead and I searched for this fabric, and I only looked in one spot just to see what it was, and it had sold out on Etsy. But that's what you could do. You can even take a picture of this right here, hold it up to the video, and then it'll show you what it is. You want to get a little bit close and zoom in so that you don't get any of the wild and wacky background. I do that all the time on other people's videos and websites, just to see what something is, see where it can be purchased, because there's not always links and everything. But thank you so much for these. These are going to look amazing in the quilt. I was really like, I love those. When I opened it, I love all of them, but sometimes I'm like, I just love the colors. Like this one right here, those green, it's almost like the metal on the back of a truck. You could see that metal that goes on the bed to protect the back of a truck. That's what it reminds me of, kind of like a cross hatching. And the butterflies are just so adorable. I love rainbows for 2024. So I hope everyone had a really nice 4th of July, or just a happy, what was it, Wednesday? Nope, it was Thursday. So I hope you guys had a great week, and I hope everyone enjoyed getting together with friends and family and watching the fireworks. Every year, there's always some type of an accident. Now, there's always ones just in the neighborhoods and stuff, but there's always one of those big shows. I was watching a vlog on YouTube, and there's some special red, white extravaganza air show type thing. And the fireworks, some of them, I don't know if they fell over or just decided to shoot crazy. They were like in a football stadium, and some of them shot onto like the football field, we'll say, and it didn't cause any problems there. But other ones just went right into the crowds, and it happened so quick, and it hit somebody in the eye, and a couple other people around there were injured also. It's just always so scary. I have a feeling it's going to be more drone shows and less fireworks in the future. The drone shows have gotten so amazing anyways. Fireworks, they're nice, but not everyone likes the big booms and not all the animals like them. So drone shows might be a good substitute for the fireworks. Like in this area here, it'd be really dangerous because we haven't seen rain in forever. I think I saw 4 sprinkle days and 1 good downpour since we've been here. So it's a very dry area to start with. And then when there's no rain, it makes it even worse. Very susceptible to fires. But anyways, what I had decided to do is to work on some of my recent WiPs and see if I can get them progressed to the point that they're finished. So I spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but I spent some really concentrated time working on these projects. So here is the batik little runner or long mini quilt that I worked on with my patrons. I think this might be called City Pipes. I went ahead and I quilted it, and you can see I just quilted about 1/4 of an inch on either side here, just to accent that center highlight. So there's a line of quilting here and here and here and here, and that's about it. It's all really needed. There you go. You can see on the back. It doesn't need a lot. It's a skinny wall hanging, and based on the batting that I'm using, it's 8 to 10 inches apart. So this is perfect. I know my hand, the palm of my hand is like 4, 4 1/4, something like that. So I just used that, and I used it so it's 1 palm away from each other. So that is plenty of stitching. It'll make it hang nicely. Now you can see some ripples in there, and that's basically because it needs a good iron. So what's left for this is just to add the binding to it. I have not cut the binding for this one yet. Once it's all done, it will be going into the shop. So there's project number 1. I'm not going to count the projects because I know I will get lost on the counting process there. You know how easy it is when you're chatting to go 149. Or say something like, gee, what project was that? Another Patreon project that I worked on is the dotted and the gingham checkered. They're from a Charm Square pack. I think it's called Plaids and Dots or something like that. So I have all of these flying geese. You can see the entire quilt. There you go. Oh, I love the way that looks. I used a fabric to border it that looks like a screen from like a window. I debated for a while on the quilting on this one. I wasn't really sure, did I want to do a like stitch in the ditch and then just echo all of the flying geese? And then I had a reality check and thought that was crazy. So I just went with the wavy lines, and I didn't precisely measure, but they're mostly pretty close. I used that little bar that goes onto the walking foot as my guide. I think it might even be called a guide bar. But there is the back. It's a black with, I'd say the polka dots are probably a gray, so it's little micro polka dots, but it does make it a lot easier to see. And once again, it needs a good pressing. And I have the binding somewhere for this. I think it's in a bin up there. But I'm just binding it, I believe, with the same screen print there. I thought the polka dots on the back would be appropriate to go with the polka dots on the front. And I wasn't too worried. I used a light gray thread for quilting, and I didn't mind it showing on the back. That didn't bother me. I could have used a black thread or a darker gray on the back or something, but I do like to match the best I can with my top and bobbin thread. But if I have to choose something different, then I go ahead and do that. And I pulled out these economy block square and a square and a square square quilt blocks here, and I stitched them together. These are going to be a pillow. I made these a while back with just some fun, bright, tropical-y type colored fabrics. I really love the way this looks. I just have the diagonal stripes going down there. This doesn't have an actual backing on it. So on the back, it just has that faux backing on it, and it's going to be turned into a pillow. I said this summer or sometime this year, we're going to start doing a variety of different ways to make pillows, but I needed to make the pillow tops first. So here's pillow top number 1 and pillow top number 2. So these are going to be matching. They both have the diagonal quilting. I did this one in one direction and that one in the other. So if they're anywhere near each other, they will kind of go in opposite directions, or two separate people can purchase them. They will be going in the shop. So these guys are ready to be turned into pillows. I'm just debating on which style of pillow cover to turn them into, because if these were both to go to the same person, I don't think it matters too much, considering the person that purchases it most likely will come from here, and they'll be a viewer and they'll know that it was part of a tutorial series for making pillows. So if this one has an envelope back and this one has a zipper, I think it'll be okay. But if they are zippers, I'm going to see if I can do 2 different envelopes or 2 different zippers so that they'll be similar and at least the fronts will match. Now, keeping up with the pillows, I also turned this Patreon project into a pillow cover. I really love the way this one turned out. The white hearts, because I wanted to do white hearts instead of red or pink to do that reverse look of it, because a lot of people do the white background with the red or pink or purple hearts. Even rainbow hearts are fun too, but I did the white contrast with the deep red background, and then I put a pink in. It's a pink and white, so it has the swirls, and that's about accurate right there for the red, and the white is a white. So I love the way they came out. This is my favorite, the white. There you go, the white swirls, the white on white. I love that fabric. I have still a few more yards left, so you'll be seeing it more. So this time for the back, or the faux backing, I had a thin piece of like a flannel, almost like the thin flannel you would make like jammy pants on. It's a really, really thin one. I'm used to more of like a brushed cotton, a little fluffier kind. So this is just a basic old white, really thin. So I went ahead and I used that for the faux backing. And yeah, you can see the quilting that I did on the crosshatch, and I thought that would just work really well. So now that gives us 3 pillows. Now it may or may not need to do binding. I do like to put binding on some pillows. And remember, even if it's a pillow cover, you can still hang it on the wall as a wall hanging. So switch it up every now and then. One year for Valentine's Day, you can put it on the couch. Next year, maybe have a new pillow and you just want to hang this one up on the wall somewhere. And then I got this one all quilted. So a really quick peek of the backing. You can see the design on there. This is showing a little bit more pink than it is. It's more of about that color and shade there. Now you can also see the quilting. I thought this one, because it has a lot of sewing things on the fabric, that this one would be better off as a wall hanging versus a pillow. If you let me know right away that you want it to be a pillow, I can do that, but my plan is to put binding on this and turn this into a wall hanging. It's another project I worked on with my patrons. I love the white strip down the center of the squares and the way it gives that fun design. I think this would be really cute anywhere, but of course, because it's all sewing themed, it would be fun in a craft room. I think that's it for the main projects. The other thing I worked on is I really want to get this organized and finished, because I want to bring some of the fabric from my closet and put it on these shelves. The fabric that I use a lot on a daily basis or on an average, I reach for it a lot type situation. I want to bring a lot of that out so I'm not constantly having to go in the closet and try to find it, because right now the closet's not organized. the fabric is just stuck on shelves in a I kind of know where things are, but I'd like to have some open shelves available here. So when it comes time, I'm starting to do Christmas stuff. Maybe I want to bring the Christmas fabric out. And when I'm done after the holidays, I can put it away into the closet for more of a long-term storage. So that means I need to work on more of my fabric baskets. Now, when working with the smaller pieces, it usually takes me about an hour just to fuse everything down. That means choosing the fabrics out of the scrap bin there, getting them all pressed, putting them onto the fusible interfacing, and making sure everything's all covered in the different areas and stuff. And then it takes me about an hour to quilt it. Now, this is the red version. It has no quilting at all. I'm actually using the batting that I purchased on a good sale for the bowl cozies. And if you're interested in bowl cozies, my shop link is down below. I still have a bunch in there. So I used that. It's a little bit thicker. I wanted to see if it would make a bit of a stiffer basket when it's all sewn together. I won't know until I start sewing these together. But here's the red one that still needs to be quilted. Here's the green one that is all quilted. Now this one has, yes, the same batting in it. So it is still nice and skinny because I quilted it pretty much matchstick quilting. When I first started working on these, I was doing nice, neat stitching back and forth. If there was a little piece sticking up, I would just add another row in. And this time I said, you know what, these are my baskets. I can just do what needs to be done. So sometimes I would just backstitch and fill in an empty spot that I missed and then just go back, and it was perfectly fine. I purposefully took this piece that was all sewn together, and hopefully it'll be like on one of the sides of the basket that I can see when I pull it out. I went into my stash and I used some San Francisco 49ers football stash fabric for the back of this one. So this will be ready for being turned into a basket. Another San Francisco 49ers. I still have more fabric of this that I might use for something else, or I might save it for the possible need in the future. This one, as you can see, is yellow. Sometimes I'd have more of the longer strips that I could use. Now this is that yellow plaid gingham type. I don't know. They're all about the same in my mind. There was a lot of it. It's a little bit see-through, so I don't use it for like quilts, but I find that it works out great in zipper pouches, pillows, and little small projects like this, coasters and stuff, because if I'm doing a lot of quilting on it, I think it works out pretty well. It doesn't matter as much if it's see-through than if it was like a big piece on a quilt. It is stitched so nicely. Look at it standing up all on its own. These should make nice baskets. So there's a lot of that in that yellow in this one, and just has pops of, these are Easter eggs. So there's some Easter fabric, and then this is just almost a white. It's such a pale yellow, but you know what? It works, and it's going to be a yellow basket. You'll see the yellow fabrics in it. I think it's going to be fine. Now these do have tons of threads everywhere. I may or may not trim them off. They're just going to create more threads. Most of them have been quilted down anyway. I was not going to sit there and trim threads off. So there are some bits like this that I might just decide to take off, but little bits that are quilted down, they're probably just going to stay there. I want to see if it'll stand up like this. It's just standing on its edge. Not too bad. So this is another one to get turned into a basket. I have one more that I finished. So here is the purple. Now the purple received little Girl Scout faces. So this one's a really fun. I think it's a Robert Kaufman. It might have been created, dyed, whatever, for a fundraiser or something like that. I used that Google Lens to take a picture of it to see. And you don't see a lot of this fabric online. But I thought for this, it would work out pretty well. And then I put the rest of it into my neutral container so I can use this for other fun, like the butterflies and stuff. Oops, purple. Let's look at the purple. Same quilting. I use the side of my presser foot, which is usually about 3/8 of an inch, but I also will. Now this one is on my brother's sewing machine when I quilted. I don't know the exact measurements, but I use the side of the presser foot, and it just does a pretty good stitch length there, or width. Let's see if I can see what it is about on my map. Yep, it's about 3/8, so it's just like my Juki, so that's not bad. I thought it might be a little bit closer. So again, I had some nice long strips that saved a lot of time. It saves time on the quilting, so I quilted it this way just to hold it down, and then it caught the edges of these. So I tried to make sure all of my strips were going in the same direction, and then I would just pop a little highlight piece on somewhere here and there just to fill in some gaps. That is just about all of my fabric baskets. I showed you previously the brown, the orange, and the pink. I think the only ones that I have left that I'm going to make is the gray. So that's gray right there. That's one's pretty full. And then I have the black one also. Something on black, white on black, colors on black, straight black. But I don't think I'm going to do the stripes, the polka dots, or the aqua that I have up there. I think I'm just going to put those in little plastic bins. I brought one here to show you. So the little plastic bins like this, I think I'm going to use these for the specialty ones because I can stack 2 or 3 high and just put it right on one of the wider shelves. I can always move the shelves up and down as needed, but I thought that way it would be a better way and a better use of space to have the specialty ones separated like this. I do have the Christmas basket, and I'll probably do a Halloween one, but as I said, the stripes and the polka dot scraps, I think they're going to go in containers like this. So here is the neutrals. I received a fat quarter pack as a gift of neutral fabrics, so I've added them to here. Someone had sent some orange and purple scraps and fat quarter type fabrics and quarter yards or whatnot when they sent their community blocks. So I put those in here just so that I could have them for safekeeping and they won't get mixed in, because if they're not a fat quarter, they can't go in with the fat quarters. If they're not yardage, they can't go in with the yardage. So put them in here and it worked out really well. I didn't want them to get lost, plus like the purple bins are pretty full and stuff like that. Once I cut into them a little bit more and they're less of a piece of fabric, they'll get pushed down to the scrappy shelves. So your scrappy word for today is baskets. You guys been making any fabric baskets, or do you do rope baskets, or maybe you can basket weave? I've tried that with pine needles and a couple other projects or materials like that. I really love basket weaving, but I think that's a little bit too much for my hands. Plus, I would need another material. Now, I am very interested in the rope baskets, and I will be trying rope coasters, rope baskets, something in the near future, but that might not be till 2025. So next up is putting all the binding on these, starting on the community quilt, because I really am excited to work on it. And sometimes the words just get stuck, don't they? So I really want to start working. So I would like to start working on the community blocks and getting them up. I think I'm just going to take some sewing pins and put them up that way so that it doesn't put big holes in the doors. Or I might use some, I'm afraid to use like painter's tape or washi tape, but even command strips, I'm a little nervous about putting them on the door because everything in this house has got 12 layers of paint on it. You just look at the walls and like, not seriously, but when you put something up on the walls, it's really easy and it can take off a lot of layers of paint. So I'm thinking just using some thin sewing needles. A lot of people put that up on their walls that have, like, these are drywall, not plaster, so it's easy to pin through. That's my plan. We'll see how much I get done this week. Come on back next week and see what I accomplished. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you have an amazing week. Bye.